first 18 months were very, very tough. Because obviously we were like on the runway and trying to accelerate to take off. But then once we took off and once I discovered that article and I started to also change a bit things the way I was doing them, it was actually, much more pleasant in terms of daily workload and also assembling a team that, was feeling rewarded and trusted.
Welcome back. This is the second part of our SaaS Startup Essential with our portfolio company, Sleek. Sleek is a back-end operating system for startup and SME, a simple platform to manage all of your back-office operations and even seek expert advisory from qualified professionals. It's a platform that streamlines, automates, and integrates company setup, financial, regulatory reporting, bookkeeping, and now banking services. I'm with Adrien, the co-founder and CMO. Welcome back, Adrien.
Thanks for having me, Alice. Hi.
You shared a lot of great advice and frameworks to build a powerful sales and marketing strategy in the early days of a SaaS business. But in this video, I would love to kind of deep dive beyond just sales and marketing and focus on hiring and building a successful organization. So Sleek now has, close to 200 employees across 5 countries. Let's begin with how to set up the team. What does the early team look like, and what are the profiles for what roles exactly?
Yeah, that's a very key question that I think you ask yourself before, during, and after starting your journey. So who to hire first? So at Sleek, at least Julian and myself were not tech guys. So we basically needed people to build our platform. So which is what we did. So I think the very, very first hires at Sleek were developers to actually, put our idea into code and to start building the asset. So our platform. I think the very, very first hires were definitely, very technical. And then after, we started to venture into sales and then after operations. Yeah, we were looking for people that were crazy enough to join a very unsexy startup in the accounting space in 2017. I'd say that at the very beginning we had to find people that were crazy enough to actually believe in that, or that had actually gone through the pain of registering a company themselves and seeing how paper-based and not efficient it was. So the very, very first people that we hired were technical people with, for 2 of them actually, a first entrepreneurial experience of launching their very, very own, small business. And they were clearly identifying themselves to what we were actually about to start solving.
And as a non-tech founder, you hired full-time employees to build your tech, right? You did not choose to outsource in Singapore or in the region. That's
correct, actually. A previous experience actually taught me that when trying to outsource people on remote, so very often the communication is actually extremely painful for both sides. So what actually is for you an orange rectangle can actually look like a blue circle for someone else. And despite spending hours on the phone or on Skype with that person, you will never really get to explain to that person, that you really need an orange rectangle. So having people actually full-time with us and sitting next to us at the very beginning was essential for us to actually start building the product that we had in our minds. So yes, this is what we made the choice of having people internally. It's costly, but we thought that it was actually a more efficient choice back then.
And how do you transition this once you've started opening up new countries? I know yourself, you're based in Hong Kong, so maybe that's part of the answer. But what changes do you have to put in place once you hit that kind of new milestones of opening up a new countries, and also maybe once you've hit that 100 employees kind of threshold?
I think it's really first, when opening a new country, it's duplicating the number of topics that you have internally. So the key thing is really to value both countries at the same level with regard to the attention that you give to them in listening to the problems that they have or the challenges that they face. But then after, obviously you cannot spend equally the amount of time working on Singapore versus Hong Kong. Back then, Hong Kong was representing almost zero, in terms of revenue. So obviously you need to choose your battles. but you need to also calibrate a bit your attention and the time that you will actually spend, solving problems. So it's very, very important to actually, in your culture, to hammer or to repeat to your employees that, there are now two kids in the family and they need to be equally loved, although, one is actually older than the other. And very often, at least at the very beginning, we actually faced a few issues of people tending to, just focus on Singapore because Hong Kong was the little one, just outside of Singapore. So eventually, after a couple of months of really more of education, of reminding them that hey, there was that country that we need to work on. Now it's completely flat. The attention that Hong Kong gets is equal from Singapore. And yeah, we now work in harmony, and now we're actually operating in 4 countries. So the family eventually got bigger, but the love that we have for all these 4 countries is equal.
And yourself, and you can also speak for your co-founder Jillian. But how do you evolve from a jack of all trades into more of a leader or manager position?
So I think it's a very good question. In my case, I get very often contacted by clients or leads so very often it's quite tempted to actually get back into the discussions that I had early on with the clients or with leads. However, I just cannot spend my time doing that now anymore. So yeah, it was a bit painful at the very beginning to basically break a bit that link that I had with the clients. But the organization needed me to actually take a step back and to have a more a leader role strategy that we needed to deploy on the marketing side. So although my day-to-day has actually changed in terms of nature of discussion and substance of what I do, the goal is still the same. It's really to make the lives of entrepreneurs and SMEs owners actually easier by building cool projects and cool products that will enhance the efficiency of the service delivery that we do. So how to automate the accounting, how to digitize the governance of a company, how to make a seamless account opening for the business account and for company's finances. So these are the questions that I'm still answering, but in a more strategical way rather than a more practical way, doing things I was doing back in the very, very first months and weeks. And then I'd say that now I'm basically training others to be hustlers like I was at the very, very beginning. Although it's not their company, it's very important that they are accountable for everything they do, and that they also feel that they have the necessary autonomy and also trust from us into them, so that they can execute things.
And what are some of these things that you've learned? It can be the hard way, right? And maybe some advice you would have for other founders who are going through that journey, either of starting or being in that transitioning phase where you're trying to kind of elevate yourself.
So there was this very, very good article from an early employee of Google that a friend shared with me. I think it was right after the first year at Sleek. So I was really feeling that I needed to be everywhere and that I needed to be omniscient. Obviously, it was quite stupid, given that there's only 24 hours in a day, that I need to have some private time, and that I cannot live 24/7 thinking about Sleek. And that article, the title was "Share Your Legos." So obviously, if you're on your own, you can actually build only a few big things with your own Legos. But if you actually assemble a team, and if you trust them enough to actually give them their own pack of Legos, and that you deploy a plan to actually build something bigger altogether, that actually makes sense, and you can actually achieve much bigger things than the one that you actually were thinking of back then, when you were on your own with your Legos. I think I learned that a bit the hard way before discovering that article, in the sense that, the very, very, I'd say that the first 18 months were very, very tough. Because obviously we were on the runway and trying to accelerate to take off. But then once we took off, and once I discovered that article, and I started to also change a bit things the way I was doing them, it was actually much more pleasant in terms of daily workload, and also assembling a team that was feeling rewarded and trusted by sharing Legos with them. So yeah, my advice for other founders, share your Legos.
Cool. I think that will resonate well with how founders tend to feel a bit overwhelmed in the first few years or months. Thanks a lot, Adrien. I really enjoy that sharing sessions. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Please send us your questions, thoughts, comments. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we'd love to build more videos that you like. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Adrien, again.